Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the God. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building, Dr. Wes Bellamy. Welcome.
What up, bro? How you doing,
feeling?
man? I'm good, man. How you?
I'm doing well.
Good, man. Appreciate y'all having me up here.
Yes, sir.
With this man Charlamagne. He's the man, but Lord, if you're in politics, he is a hard friend to have.
Well, why is that? Why is he such a hard friend? Let's jump right into it.
I'm defending him nonstop. That's my man, though, so he know I'm with him, man. You know, one of the things I wanted to say to you and to the people as a whole, like I think, I was just talking about this in the back, I think people don't understand how much you read or how politically astute you actually are, and also that you speak to a different demographic than some quote-unquote politicals normally talk to. And because you are like a very strong truth teller and speaking from a different demographic or speaking to a different demographic, people are like, yo, what the hell? But I want to make sure I give you your flowers. Like, yo, man, I appreciate the work and what you do for the community.
Thank you, brother.
And speaking up and speaking for a different perspective. But Lord, you had me at the White House last night there at Juneteenth. Felt like I was 20v1, like I was Drake.
Well,
man,
you know what
fighting.
you should do, doctor? You should tell all of them people that love to be on the hill to come with you in the hood.
That's
See,
real.
You actually be out here touching the people and having conversations with people, so you know what people are actually talking about. The same people that they claim to be speaking for, they don't speak to.
It's real. I mean, I don't think we can deny that in any capacity. I mean, the things in which we hear in our communities, and again, I'm glad you all have us up here. We're talking about the 100 Black Men. Our 16-city tour, Real Men Vote, where we're going to all of these different cities talking to Black men about the importance of voting and then being engaged. And literally, we're hearing the exact same things, not only that you all are saying here on the radio, but things in which some people think, oh, that's just crazy. Like, no, brothers and sisters, for that matter, are really believing these things.
That's right. And
we have to do collectively a better job of educating our communities in terms of just really what happens in voting on the local, state, federal level. I saw Jasmine up here the other day.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate the way in which she breaks down things. And we need more of that, just real truth telling. And because we're not being as honest as we should be in communicating and conveying our message in a way to people who don't have doctorates or they don't have law degrees, I think there's a lot of misinformation that's going out, and then people are just more easy and susceptible rather to the misinformation.
And I think right now, the thing that frustrates so many people is once again, it feels like we're voting out of fear.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is probably the one time in my whole existence that we absolutely have a reason to be truly scared about the end of democracy. But they've been saying this for so long,
it's like
and
whatever.
now all they're offering once again is fear.
Right.
It's like, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the issue, that using fear and scare tactics as a way to get people to be able to go and do quote unquote what they believe to be the right thing. After so long, you just become you become numb to it. But I do believe, honestly, and I'm being very candid, that democracy, as you've often alluded to, is under attack. And I think that not just democracy is under attack, like our traditional or quote unquote regular way of being could really be jeopardized if collectively all of our communities, not just Black folk, but all of our communities don't go out and vote our best interests. And not vote misinformation, but again, vote our best interests. And my position is, like, again, what we're doing with the 100 Black Men and our Real Men Vote tour, talking to brothers about, again, like, why we have to be engaged. And more than anything else, you can't afford to just pretend as if things are just okay. And I know that we don't always see the transitions and the change from administration to administration to impact in the hood. But that's also why we got to be engaged on the local level and encourage brothers to run for office, for that matter.
What do you tell to somebody who does not necessarily like Donald Trump, but also does not like Joe Biden? You know what I mean? And that's what we're seeing a lot of, right? They're not happy with the things that Joe Biden done in the last 4 years, and they don't like Trump. So it's like, what do you tell those individuals?
1 in 4 Americans have an unfavorable view of both presidents.
Of both presidents. So me personally, I say, it's not just about the people who are quote unquote in the presidency. Like, we have to talk about who's being appointed to Supreme Court justice, who's being appointed to the federal justices, the appellate courts, who's being able to have access to these state houses because parties do play a major role. And then in addition to that, when we talk about economics and resources being able to flow through our communities, whether that be the creation of black businesses and having the capital to be able to start your black business, to be able to maintain your black business, like all of those things are mandated and to a certain extent going to be supported based off of who you elect in this presidential election. And you can go and say you like whoever you don't like, but again, I always encourage people, vote for your best interests. And then in the congressional seats, which we have a ton of different seats up this year, Senate side, on the House of Representatives side, Congress is really who pushes things through. And if we need resources, if we know we need resources, then there's no reason why, again, we should be voting for people or persons who have outwardly said they care very little about how we improve as a people. When I look at this is just me talking as one representative, as one individual now. When I look at the platinum plan, the 2-page platinum plan that Donald Trump put forth a couple years ago, and I haven't seen thus far, like, because I'm an independent, I haven't seen thus far Trump bring forth any kind of plan or action plan for Black America, whether that be on the economic side, whether that be on the educational side, whether that be freedom and justice, whether that be just criminal justice reform, healthcare, women's rights, so on and so forth. We haven't seen any plan. So to me, it's very simple when we look at who we should vote for, but I understand and
President
recognize.
Biden didn't have one either till he got pushed. And then he came over with, was it Lift Every Voice and Sing plan or something like that? I'm not even joking. I think that's what it was called. Wasn't it called the Lift Every
See,
Voice?
this is why they be on your top,
But it's the
bro.
truth.
Pause.
Am I lying?
Yeah, I mean, but you ain't got to say it like the damn.
Say it like what?
it's
That's the
song.
name of it. But you see what I'm saying? That's the problem right there. That is the name of the plan.
Yeah.
So it sounds just as ridiculous as the Platinum plan, the Lift Every Voice and Sing
I
plan.
don't think
Like,
Lift Every Voice
It
and
ain't
Sing.
lift every voice and
Yes,
sing.
it was.
Lift Every Voice, not Lift Every Voice
but
and
it was
Sing.
based off the song, is
See,
what I'm
see how it
saying.
goes over.
Yo, this is what I'm talking about now, and then I'm gonna get the calls after this. Yo, what's your man?
But here's the thing, I'm not that far off.
Nah.
Like Lift Every Voice plan is the same difference.
But I think there is a fundamental difference. So the names may be, the names of the bills can be what they are, but the substance of the two are very different. And again, for me, like, I'm not a quote unquote Biden apologist, but when I look at them putting billions of dollars into student loan debt relief, as an individual who just got his student loans,
You got a lot wiped out too.
yeah, $208,000.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I mean, even when you think about that there in itself, I went and got 3 degrees, all 3 of my degrees from HBCUs. Shout out to South Carolina State, my alma mater, and Virginia State, where I got my master's and my doctorate, and where I'm the political science department chair now. Shout out to Envy for coming to Virginia State last year.
Talking to the students.
Yeah, come and talk to the students. But again, for me to get 3 degrees, it cost me $208,000. Like, that's ridiculous there in itself. And the fact that you have so many persons on the right actively saying, yo, there should be no student loan relief is crazy when we know the biggest benefactors of student loan relief are Black folk. So again, vote your interests. Now, there will be people who say, like, well, nah, you chose to take on that student loan debt. And that's true. But education shouldn't cost that much no matter what. And again, when we're talking about, and specifically when I'm talking to brothers around the country about, yo, vote your interests, you're voting for not just yourself, but for your children, your grandchildren, your little cousins, your mentees, whomever. I wouldn't advise you to go to Hampton, but
I would. I would.
Nah, it's love. It's love. But again, man, we have to vote our interests, and that's important.
I think the main reason we should vote our interests and you should vote issues is because people don't like either one of these individuals. So if people aren't energized by these individuals, the only thing you can do is talk about, the interest in the issues.
Yeah. I think you're 100% right. But I also think it's important for us to understand, like, yo, our everybody isn't everybody's everybody. So I think sometimes in our circles or our spheres of influence, we believe that we speak to different persons and we're like, yo, everybody feels A, B, and C. But then when we go in other locations or we go to other places, that's not always a representation of what you see with people, again, in different spheres. Like, yo, last night, again, we were at the Juneteenth celebration, which to me was like a family reunion, a cookout on the South Lawn, which was wild. Like, yo, people were absolutely loving Vice President Harris and, cheered galore for when the president came out. I've been in other situations or in other places where that may not be the case, but
There was a lot of Democratic shills on that White House lawn last night.
Yo,
like they do a lot. The bowing.
Nah, there was no bowing last night, bro. I didn't see no bowing. Let me be 100. I ain't see no bowing.
I'm not even gonna put the. I'm just gonna show it to you. I'm not gonna put the. Somebody sent this morning.
Somebody sent you they was bowing last night.
Yes, but you see this all the time. And somebody sent it to me and said, "Man, you'd have thought this nigga got 40 acres in a mule."
Let me see this.
Kissing the ring. Come on, bro.
Yeah, shit is wild. So,
come on, bro.
All right, so look, let's be 100. Let's be completely 100. It's a lot of quote unquote like elections and politics has really become like a show. It's a TV show, and I don't think that started essentially with Donald Trump.
Nah, President Obama.
I would argue even before Obama. Like, I mean, media has influenced the way in which persons believe that they have to show up to be able to represent a multitude of different people, and politics is no different from that. When I ran for office, I served as the vice mayor in Charlottesville, Virginia from 2016 to 2020. Like, I saw the shift in terms of how you run. You have to be able to attract people in different ways. So, yo, the bowing and all that shit, that's wild, and I don't respect that. Like, I don't think any of us can agree.
Was a black person?
Of course it was. It's always us doing stupid shit.
It's not
like that.
always. Stop saying always.
It is, man. It is. And especially when it comes to them, it's actually like cringy. And by the way, I don't think no black person should be beholden to any party. No. When I see these black conservatives jumping up and down and acting like Trump is the Messiah, they look ridiculous. Yeah. When I see them doing this type of stuff to President Biden, they look equally as ridiculous.
Nah, I don't deny that. I mean, you had homie come out the other day and say, yo, black families were stronger during the era of Jim Crow. Like, that's
insane.
It's insane. So, again, there's a lot of, quote, unquote, extremism, if you will, of people feeling as if they have to go as hard as they can, on both sides. But I think the common everyday person is more so in the middle. And that's whom we have to do a better job of speaking to. And for me, again, when I go out and talk to black men around the country and on a local level in my hood and whatnot, it's talking to our people about, yo, you got to be able to show up at the city council meetings, show up at the school board meetings, because your child's textbooks, the curriculum that's being taught, the potholes that need to be fixed and so forth. Right. When you show up, like, and specifically brothers, I'm only speaking as a black man because I'm a black man. When black men, and I personally believe this, when we show up in these meetings, yo, the whole mood and the tenor, they change. But I would ask us, like, from a rhetorical standpoint, and we've been asking this on the tour, like, how many of you know who your mayor or your city council representative is? How many times have you actually shown up to a city council meeting? I know when I was in office, the strongest proponent that I had was not always necessarily a policy measure or a pin. It was my ability and our ability to be able to bring people from around the way to the council meetings, and then me say to my colleagues, hey, yo, you see my people actually are here and they're demanding and asking for the same thing. Let's get these things moved. Let's get these things changed. But when we don't show up or when we only pop off on social media, yo, it doesn't weigh the same.
Do you think the black voters appreciate it all the time or only when it's election time?
I think there's a combination of both. I don't believe it's an absolute, but to be 100, I think that there are a multitude of people who only believe that we should be spoken to when it's time for us to be elected or them to be elected.
I think most officials feel that way. Like, you only hear from them or see the things that they do, or you see them coming to the churches and the lawns and all these graduations when it's election time. Outside of that, you don't really hear from people.
Now, I will say this, though. I don't deny that, right? And I think two things can be true in this regard. I will say, again, just from my vantage point, the hardest job I ever had was being a black elected official.
Wow.
Because individuals really believe that you
can change everything.
Quote unquote Superman or Superwoman. Like, you need to write every letter of recommendation. You need to be able to change all 400 years of the policy that was bred by white supremacy that's against us. You need to be able to really literally hand out and give out money to everybody in the hood, fix all housing situations, show up at every probation hearing, be at every community basketball game, every community cookout, while also being this upstanding individual who can fight, who can play ball, who can not take no shit from the white people. Like, the pressures and the expectations on us that's placed on us, while many of us don't really know how to move policy, even after you first get elected, because you're having to navigate a system there in itself. And you got to think about, yo, if I have, like, when I was elected, initially when I got on, it was myself and 4 other white people. I'm the youngest person. I'm the only black. If I go and call them all racist nonstop, Like, how am I going to get to 3 votes to be able to get anything passed? So the level of grace that I believe we need to be able to show our persons who are elected is necessary instead of just shitting on them. But I think that it's a process there in itself. Like, you have to learn how to legislate well. You have to learn how to communicate what these policies are saying to our people. I think, as you alluded to, like, Jasmine does a really good job at that. And I think there are a few persons who do a good job at that, but we need more.
But nobody says that on the campaign trail, though. On the campaign trail, they say, vote for change. If you want change, vote for me. If this is what you want, vote for me. So it's like nobody says that on the campaign trail. So you can't get mad when the constituents get upset for elected officials volunteering lies.
That's real. I don't think the individuals will look at them as quote unquote lies. Everybody, I firmly believe, when you're running, or excuse me, let me not say everybody, but I believe that persons think that when they're going to run, that they can do A, B, and C. They have the wherewithal, they have the background knowledge, they've studied the budget, they've been in the community, they know what the people want. Until you actually get in that office, and then you be like, oh shit, like, I gotta do this, or this is played that way, I gotta be able to work with this person. And then you understand that you're fighting up against a system. That's the challenge there in itself. So yeah, individuals are like, vote for me, I can change this, because I firmly believe that you can. There's a level of narcissism and also a level of confidence that you have to have within yourself to be able to quote unquote run for office. But yo, it's a beast. Like, these systems literally weren't created for us to be able to just change them overnight. So that's where I think the level of patience and grace comes in. But also, I'm able to move policy a lot better when I have community with me. And we talk about that in the documentary. I know we'll get to it, but like, we were able to move these statutes collectively in Charlottesville and get these policy measures passed because we had the community rocking with us. Like, it wasn't just a one-person thing. There was a multitude of us, which allows for a movement to move forward.
You did some great things in Charlottesville. I mean, not only the statutes, but I really like the economic equity package.
The equity package, yes,
that
sir.
you presented. And I wish more people would have conversations about that, because, you know, we use language that is able to be weaponized against us.
Yeah.
And the language is the R word, reparations.
No doubt.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
And so I think that we should just change. If you just change the language, you probably can get something done in that regard, because you did it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a firm believer in that there in itself. The language, similar to people saying like defund the police, right? Like, for many individuals, it's just a non-starter. And I think that when we are elected, when we're in these seats, you have to be able to navigate these systems and be able to use language that's going to be the most effective. For me and for us in Charlottesville, using language like the equity package opposed to quote unquote reparations, although it was similar in many regards. We had $4.5 million in resources to our communities to quote unquote socially disadvantaged individuals, because you can't say black, and $2.5 million to public housing redevelopment, $50,000 for anybody who want to get their GED, $50,000 for anybody who want to go to the local community college, resources available for African-American curriculum in our local schools, $1 million to our African-American Heritage Center, and a few other things. We had $1 million set aside for a business equity fund where black people can get $30,000 at a 1% interest rate to either start or scale their business. But yo, like, I had to learn how to do all of that and like studying the budget and then honestly, and again, I can't wait for everybody to see the documentary, but like, navigating and getting my colleagues on council to be able to, I mean, in some regards, trick them, because they thought that I was just going after the statute situation. And they're like, well, if you don't vote for the statute, then we'll vote for your equity package. And then we wound up being able to get both. But like, you have to learn how to do that. And that's where, again, I think the patience comes in. I think some people are like, nah, just go be Nat Turner up there in the city council or the state house. But yo, if you take that approach all the time, you may not get a lot done, because these individuals will actively work against you.
Well, let's talk about the documentary.
But real quick, Nat Turner needed a Dr. Wes Bellamy.
No doubt.
And I think that's another thing that we don't understand.
Yeah.
Let certain people do what they do.
On the outside.
And then let the other people do what they do. Like, it has to be a mean inside-outside game.
No doubt.
Now let's talk about the documentary.
Yes, sir.
Why is the documentary so important to make and for people to see?
Yeah, man. A Time to Yell. Yeah, Time to Yell, more than a statue, really telling the story of, I think Charlottesville in some regards have become a hashtag. People are like, yo, that's the place where those crazy white people came with tiki torches. But there's a lot more to it. I mean, we had some very strong people within our community, black women specifically. Shout out to my little sis, Zayana Bryant. She was 14 years old, writing a petition, you know what I'm saying, yo, we got to get these statues removed. People like Tanisha Hudson, you know, Mayor Nakia Walker, our first black female mayor. We had white people like Kristen Sakos. You know, there was a lot of people within our community who rallied together for us to be able to do something, in my personal opinion, that was monumental. And then subsequently we saw across the country people using literally our resolutions. Like we had a elected officials group chat and people like, yo, Wes, send me that resolution, and them getting their statues removed. And I think like the power of quote unquote hate, and even what we're seeing right now with the far right movements and people just being blatantly racist, like them coming to Charlottesville and saying like with signs that West Bellamy, we're gonna hang your black nigger ass, or like people come in and saying like we're gonna destroy and kill anybody who fights back against us as you try to move these statues. And then the community saying like, nah, we're not having that. We're gonna stand up, we're gonna speak up, is a powerful story. And you know, rest in peace to the young sister Heather Heyer, who actually was killed on August 12th.
I met her mom before.
Met her mom. Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? Like when people lose their life fighting for this, and then again you see the power and the beauty of people coming together to say, yo, we're gonna fight back. We firmly believe that right now more than any time, it's a story to be told. And shit, if you want to vote for the dude who said it's verifying people on both sides after people try to like kill me, kill my family, kill you know, people actually kill someone, then I think you really need to think twice.
Do you feel like the events of Charlottesville are spoken about enough?
I think it depends on who you ask. I think again, for a long time we were more so like a hashtag, and we really want to show again that our community is much more than that. When you talk about spoken of enough, for me, it doesn't really matter how people quote unquote speak of it or speak of us. I firmly believe that it's just important to do the work, but I do think it's important for us to tell our story. And there's a multitude of stories that could be told. This documentary is really just telling it from my lens, but there's several people, as I alluded to, you know, Zai and Nakia and Tanisha and, you know, Charles Lewis and Will Jones, who's in the doc. You know, he started a run club. We started this prolific run club. Like, it's a multitude of people, and it's all intertwined. And we're telling our own story, you know? And for us, you know, or excuse me, for me rather, I think that you can have black folk heal in their particular way. You can have white folk heal in their particular way. And we don't always have to, quote unquote, strive for unity. Like, my thing is, let's strive for respect. Because if I respect you, then I won't do any harm towards you. And if I won't do any harm towards you, then I can value you and we can move forward accordingly. And I think that's kind of what we get across in this documentary. You're going to see brothers in the hood playing like in my basketball league, the Tonsa League. You're going to see white people and black people running together. You're going to see some really contentious moments and of people, you know, getting it in and arguing and fighting. But more than anything, we come out on top.
What is Charlottesville like today? Like, how did the events in 2017 change things moving forward? We're
a place that still has a lot of work to do. But what I firmly believe is that we're a place that ripped the scab off of the hate that people see across these communities. And we're not afraid to deal with our shit. Like, that's what I'm most proud of within our community. We're not afraid to have very difficult and challenging conversations. And that's been a model that I'm hoping that we can be for the rest of the country. Like, you can't shy away from race relations. You can't shy away from systemic oppressions. And also, sometimes it takes people who come from different backgrounds, whether that be somebody really young with parts in their head running for office, whether that be, you know, a teenager saying, I'm gonna be bold and I'm gonna write a petition and stand up, whether that be, you know, brother saying, I'm a black dude, I'm gonna start a run club to bring people together. Like, it takes a lot of different people in different ways to do things. And that's really where we are. We're still fighting systemic oppression though. Like, we're still fighting inequities and policies. And some would argue that a lot of the stuff that we've done, we're trying to either amplify or prevent from running back. But nonetheless, we're fighting, and that's what I'm most proud of.
Why does Dr. Wes Bellamy's black nigger ass feel safe in Charlottesville?
Man, because it's home. You know what I mean? Like, I've created a community, or surrounded myself of community of people, black folks specifically, who I love, and they've shown with their actions they love me back. And you know, sometimes you have your family members, your family, y'all don't always get along, but it's love there nonetheless. And in my darkest times, my darkest moments, when I felt as if, like, and my family felt as if we were under attack, it was the city who rallied around me and was like, yo, we got your back. We ain't letting nothing happen to you.
Like Jeezy said, y'all touch him, we ride.
Yo, real shit. I mean, and like Jeezy came, shout out to Snow, Jeezy came to our back to school bash when we kicked off our basketball league last year, came to the first day and he was like, oh, like you really kind of like the Don. Like we got the black people, black men, black women. We had a bunch of Afghan kids. We had, white people. Everybody's out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people have really seen through our work that we in it for the long run. And for that, they respect it. And we respect each other. And we going to support each other. So I think it comes across also in the doc, like how I love Charlottesville. And I really appreciate them for loving me back.
What is some truths that black people need to know before casting their vote in November? Because and we had the good sister Congresswoman Crockett up here. Mm-hmm. And I was telling her about one of my mentees in Georgia who was watching her speak. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, Congresswoman Crockett said, hey, y'all should go Google what this administration has done. That's why y'all don't know what they've done because it's so much. Yeah. And I'm like, that's not good messaging. Yeah, nah. If I gotta go Google, I ain't doing it. Yeah.
I mean, it's real. Like, and let me be clear again, yo. I'm not a surrogate of the administration. Shout out to my man Trey Baker and Antoine Seawright and even Congressman Clyburn. They know, like, I'll send a message quick, like, yo, this is some bullshit. Like, what are y'all on some wild shit? But I do again believe in giving credit where credit is due. Like the fact that the Biden administration has meticulously and strategically provided billions of dollars for not only student loan relief, but provided over like $200 million for black businesses to be scaled. I think that there in itself is huge. When we look at housing and affordable housing, the work that former Secretary Marsha Fudge was doing in terms of the voucher system. Like I currently serve as the chair of our Housing Authority Board, and like that the HUD, they've been doing some good work in terms of being able to get resources back in the hood and empower our people to not only thrive in public housing but get out of public housing, home ownership. Like they have tons of programs in that regard. I would say, the list does go on and on, but it's not up to us, quote unquote, to tell those stories. So when you ask me, like, what are some real truths? Yo, the administration has to do a better job, point blank, simple. Maybe they need to hire Plies full time. I don't know. But you need, I mean, to be 100 though, you need some people talking cash shit about, yo, nah, this is what's going on and this is what we doing. You look at the Republican side, yo, whether it may not be a lot of substance, they gonna ride for what they're doing and talk about the work in which they believe in which they're doing or what they're fighting against. It's usually not what they're doing, but it's about what they're fighting against. I don't necessarily always see that on the Democratic side, or I'll say that it doesn't receive the same amount of attention because it's the way it's delivered. And
their messaging sucks.
It's ass. No,
but how come when you say that nobody get mad at you, but when I say that it's World War III on something?
Because one, bro, you Charlamagne and you known for saying wild shit. But also I think that even in your political astuteness, you're holding individuals accountable in a way in which they feel maybe shouldn't be done right now because it's so close to the election. I think that's really what the gripe is with individuals, with you. And it's some individuals, because it's not a multitude of people, because like, yo, it's a lot of people who feel the exact same way in which you feel. Like you're speaking for a demographic of people who, at least me, when I'm in the hood, I hear people saying the same shit you saying every day.
So what does that say about Democrats then? Because these conversations aren't new.
Yeah.
We was having these conversations in 2020. Yeah. We was having them in 2016.
It says the same thing that you've been saying. Like the messaging is ass. Like the messaging sucks. However, as we've all been saying, in my personal opinion, you have to vote for your best interests. Like, I don't think that so I heard the good sister Tasha Brown from Black Voters Matter, and shout out to Cliff and everybody at BVM.
Salute to them.
She said something, we were on a panel in Charleston that I'll never forget. And she was like, yo, black people don't have the privilege of being able to pick perfect candidates. Like, voting for us has not only been about survival, but how we can figure out a way to thrive under whatever is in front of us. And I was like, damn, like, we don't have the luxury of being able to pick the perfect candidate. And as I broke that down, like, these systems that are in place, they weren't built for us to live in utopia. So we've consistently for literally 400 years been fighting an uphill battle. So we have to fight for individuals, vote for individuals who are going to allow us to be able to matriculate upward as best we can. And to me, that's where, again, we're voting for our interests. I was doing some work with Planned Parenthood. Shout out to my girl Jamisa. We were doing these Black Men Talks. We went to Memphis. We went out to, we just got back. We went to Houston a couple weeks ago. And the work in which, when you talk about contraceptives, when you talk about abortion rights, those things that, quote unquote, Republicans are actively trying to take away, those impact a lot of brothers in the hood. I know plenty of brothers who have told shorties, yo, you need to go get a Plan B. I know plenty of brothers who have said, yo, I got to go, with shorty to go and go to the clinic because, we need to make a decision that's going to be best for both of us. When you see one particular side of the argument actively trying to take those things away, and you talk about voting for your best interests, do you want to have your little sister, your daughter, your niece to have the ability to be able to choose or not?
That's right.
Or not. If you don't want to have any choice or any option at all, then stay your ass at home.
Yeah, if you against abortion, you never got the wrong person pregnant.
I'm saying
you never been in that situation where whoa.
Yeah, it's real.
Nick said,
But the thing is that having these kind of conversations outright, when you say the messaging is messed up, we don't talk like this. Or I would say Dems, quote unquote, they don't have these authentic conversations. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I think people are that's a party of people that's not for me, or at least at the top. Because on the local level, it's different. You get to meet people, you get to feel and see how they are, and we do have these real talks, but it's not always at the top, and that's where things have to change. I do believe that in these next few election cycles, there's going to have to be a shift in the kind of Democratic candidate. There's going to have to be a person or persons who are, quote unquote, more relatable to people on the ground, who may not be as polished, or individuals who are able to navigate different systems and be authentic in that. But most importantly, the people are going to have to support those candidates with their resources, i.e. their dollars, their time, and their airplay. That's just real.
It's a good bench right now. I like Governor Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania. I like Governor Wes Moore.
Yeah, shout out to Wes.
We love Congresswoman Crockett. What she's doing.
Jamal was up here. Shout out to Congressman
Bowman.
I think Jamal is really dope. You know what I mean? Like you say, it's a good bench. But then the question becomes, do we support them? It's when I was in office, it's all about support. I can say these things, but I need y'all to come out and support.
Come out and vote. That's right.
Yeah, no, not just vote. Show up at these damn hearings. Show up at these meetings. You use your platform to talk about we need A, B, and C on there as well. Not y'all use your platform. You know what I mean? Yeah.
What would you say to people who say, you're absolutely right, we can't have the perfect candidate, that's why I'm going to vote for Trump, because we had money in our pocket, and let them be racist because all these white folks is racist.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's some wild shit. That's if I had Gilly and Wallow up here, that's some nut ass shit. You talk about an individual, again, if you talk about being black, I don't know anybody that's black that can be convicted of 34 felonies and still have white evangelicals and just white people as a whole say, yo, I'm with you. I would tell your black ass, go get 34 felonies. Don't. But go get 34 felonies and then see how these people talk about you. You know what I'm saying? That's, if you think things are fair and just let them go be racist, we have money in our pockets. But this comes back to messaging again. We say this over and over and over. We all know, not we all know, Trump did not authorize those resources, those quote unquote stimulus checks that go in your pockets. That was Congress that did that. But we do a very poor job collectively of educating persons about how these systems work and who does what.
I wouldn't even talk about the system in that situation. I would say when he gets back in office, he's not giving y'all that again. Think about what happened. Think about what happened for that to happen. It was a global pandemic.
Literally,
millions of people died.
We had somebody in the room earlier that said, what? Trump gave us low
that
interest
was Ray
rates.
J. Yeah, Ray J didn't know. But Ray J don't understand all of that stuff happened because of COVID. Millions of people had to die.
Trump gave him 1.9% interest rates, and he wants Trump back in office. It was
that'll never happen again.
COVID, that was, he had no clue. But he really believes that. And if Ray J believes that, I'm sure there's zillions of people that believe as well.
He's not the only person who believes that. But again, if we don't get out on the block, and I'm talking about, this is another thing of we can't be afraid of our people.
Right.
And we can't dismiss our people. Like, I'm just gonna say some shit that's real. This is just my personal opinion. I ain't speaking for the Breakfast Club. I ain't speaking for nobody else. But when we quote unquote like dismiss the Sexy Reds of the world and say like she don't know what she talking about because she may not be, you know, on the same level of Congresswoman Crockett in terms of like political astuteness or her acumen, we're dismissing a group of persons who are like us, who have believed and been fed misinformation intentionally. And when we don't spend the time to educate them or have the patience with our own people or show grace towards those who don't know as much, we're really doing a disservice to ourselves and we're pissing the ancestors off. Because to be 100, that's not what they died for, in my personal opinion. That's not what like we're out here fighting for. If we're fighting for the liberation of all people, then Sexy Red and the individuals who some may say are quote unquote unsavory, those two are our people. And we have to be able to educate them politically.
But I also do agree that, you know, people have the right to vote for their best interest, right?
No doubt.
And Ray J's best interest might be something else that's different than Charlamagne or different than mine or different than yours. Same thing with Sexy Red. Now, if it's not having the right knowledge, I totally, absolutely, positively agree. I just hate the fact where people are scared to have conversations, right?
That's real.
And find out the reason, well, why are you saying that about Donald Trump? And then you can say, well, that's wrong or this is right. You know what I mean? Because we always talk about vote for somebody's best interest. And Ray J's best interest might be something that Donald Trump is pushing towards.
You can't vote your best interest with wrong information.
Correct.
That's a fact.
Correct.
You can't. That's a bar.
Correct.
You can't vote your best interest with wrong information. I'm stealing that. I don't know if you know what I'm saying. I'm putting that shit on his shirt. It's like, yo, you can't say, you know, like when we talk about misinformation, I've heard people say like, yo, Trump gave the most money ever to HBCUs. I'm like, bro, I work at HBCU. You know what I'm saying? Administrator at HBCU. I got all my degrees from HBCUs. That's just not true. You know what I'm saying? And like, let's break it down why that's not true. But I would also say to people, like, if you're a proponent and advocate of historically black colleges and universities, then to me, it's quite simple who you need to be voting for.
Right.
If you're an advocate for women to be able to do what it is they believe that they can do or should be able to do, then it's quite clear who you need to be voting for. And you cannot just vote in the presidential election.
That's right.
These state houses, I mean, you had literally 34 states across the country implement from between 2021 and 2023, try and implement some of the most reprehensive and crazy, not only voting suppression laws, but laws that are literally repealing the rights of women. And if that doesn't get your attention, then just continue to be on the bullshit, but don't be mad when your life does become impacted and your daughters or your granddaughters or whomever's life is impacted.
It just all comes down to messaging. Like, you know, when we was at Clark Atlanta, somebody stood up and said that. One of the students was like, Donald Trump gave this amount of money to HBCUs. And I was like, well, to be fair, President Biden administration gave this much. They didn't even know.
Hundreds of $1 million more.
Sexy Red was up here. We had that conversation about the stimulus checks. Sexy Red had no idea President Biden gave out a stimulus check.
Right.
She knew Trump gave out two.
Twice.
You know why?
Because that is signature.
Trump put his name on it.
Put his name on it.
So
he's a master marketer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So instead of people getting mad about folks like Sexy Red, listen to this, what she's simply saying. She's saying what moves the hood, which we all know is money, that moves the world.
Always.
Right?
Yeah.
And then messaging.
Yeah.
That's it.
But I think to your point though, right? Like it requires us, your point and Envy's point. Like Envy, you just said a second ago, yo, you just don't like the fact that we're afraid to have these conversations.
Right.
And if I look down on you, I'm not even going to be willing to engage with you to have that conversation. Right. Or on the adverse of that, if you just feel like I'm stuck up or, you know what I'm saying, I got these degrees or I'm in this position or I got whatever, and you see me as a person who you don't even think you could talk to, then we're not going to be able to have that conversation. And that's where I feel like collectively we have to be able to do, like, let's break down these barriers by actually engaging with each other. And honestly, the onus is on the people who know better. To me, like, yo, if I have this information and I got to go in the hood and I can't be afraid of us to go have these conversations. If I love us, if I'm fighting for us, you can't love us and fight for us and then be afraid to talk to us.
And you're one of the few people that's black that got doctor in their name that I actually like having conversations with.
I appreciate
that. There's a level of elitistness that comes with these motherfuckers. Like, I hate when, especially around politics, like, y'all don't understand civics. Duh. But it's your job to go teach me.
Yeah. I mean, you know, shout out to my family, Atlantic Beach, South Carolina, man. I grew up around folks with Black Bike Week.
Word up.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Charlamagne, no, you know, and I wasn't afforded the opportunity to be able to quote unquote be elitist. Like where I grew up in Atlanta, like I mean, shit. Even how I first met Jeezy when I was like 10 years old, him pulling up in our hood and you know doing community stuff for us. Like I grew up seeing people actively wanting to give back, but also people telling me I'm special. And I feel like not only myself, but we all have an obligation and duty when people sacrifice for you to be able to get these degrees or get in these positions to give it back. Like you owe it to us. That's Again, right. You can't say you love us or we can't say we love us and we're fighting for us, but then not want to engage and talk to us. That also means, man, take them damn higher ed shoes off and those fucking tight ass shirts and the button ups up and go be regular and kick it. I mean, that's the real issue. That's right. If we being 100, like a lot of cats is just corny.
That's right.
Like they corny and they're afraid and they don't have a lot of experiences in being around us. And because of that kind of just keeps them in their silos and then don't want to go back and be around us. And I mean, like in the documentary, kind of going back to that, you see that throughout. There's a lot of intertwining what we try to do with our basketball league, the Tonsor League, and also we calling out the Gersh League out in Brooklyn. We want to see y'all, but that's another conversation. But like you have to be able to bridge community. Like you have to be able to talk to people. And just because I got these damn degrees, don't mean that I once wasn't living exactly like how you know others are. And at the time, like I was still living in the hood, like, and that's where I was safe. That's like I had people looking after my crib, making sure myself and my youngins and we were good. Can't be afraid of your people if you want to help your people.
That's right.
Well, tell them more how they can see the documentary.
Yeah. So I'm super excited. This Friday at the American Black Film Festival, it will be premiering A Time to Yell, More Than a Statue.
That's in Miami, right?
In Miami, yeah. 10 a.m. at the South Ocean Theater. We're looking forward to everybody coming out to that. And then we're having a special screening in Charlottesville, Virginia on Tuesday, June 25th, hosted by my dear sister, Simone Sanders, our former mayor, Nakia Walker, Will Jones, a few others are going to be on a talk back afterwards. And then after that, you know, we're looking to make sure people can pick it up. Hopefully we'll have a distributor by then and people will be able to see it any and everywhere. But I think the American Black Film Festival, they had like 4,000 submissions. We were one of 5 to be selected to show our documentary. Brad. So it's I think it's a pretty good body of work, and I'm looking forward to, again, people being able to see it, learn more about our city. And then also from the 100 Black Men side, we have 12 more cities to go to. We'll be in St. Louis. We're going to Jacksonville, Florida, Miami, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, Mobile, Alabama, Phoenix, Arizona, Las Vegas, Nevada, and Milwaukee, Wisconsin, a few other places, talking to Black men about why it's important for us to vote. So we got a few things coming up, and I'm looking forward to y'all supporting. And again, you know, man, Charlamagne, Envy, Jess, we really appreciate y'all supporting us. And I'm going to say one more thing about you real quick. Like, people don't really get to know you, you know what I mean? But I appreciate you always being willing to share your platform and help our people out. That means a lot. And Envy, I don't think you get the credit that you quite deserve in terms of what you give back to our HBCU specifically. Like your HBCU summer tour or a tour that you do, you know what I'm saying, in the spring is really dope. And to see you come to my school and those kids were talking about it forever, man, that really meant a lot. And I think that's really who we are. Like, we do care about each other.
Absolutely.
We do love each other. We do support each other. We do share our platforms and our energy. Gillian Wallow came to my school last year as well. Angela Rye come and gave the commencement speech. Like, we do show love and support each other. And I think that's kind of the energy that, as you would say, I'm on forever.
Word.
Oh, there you have it. It's Dr.
West Bellamy.
It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Appreciate you.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.